Yo, what's good, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another video. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, then you already know what it is and what it always will be. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell somebody to tell somebody if you choose to, but if not, just sit back and relax while we get into this moment of nostalgia. Now, as you can see by the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite TV shows, MOESHA. And we all know that MOESHA had her share of romantic dynamics on the show, but this is a romantic dynamic that I don't believe get the just due that it so rightfully deserves for several reasons. And it was also one of my favorite romantic dynamics of MOESHA. One, it wasn't as serious as her relationship with Hakeem and Q. Two, it wasn't a oops. And I call Aaron an oops. You know, oops, I thought I loved you. Oops, I thought I was in love with you. Oops, I thought I was ready to have sex, but oops, I wasn't. Jeremy wasn't that. But before I get into what I believe Jeremy was to the show, Jeremy was portrayed by the one and only USHERRAYMOND. And baby, tell me what you want to do with me. Usher, why did you spell your name out like that? I don't know why, but I loved it. Okay, I loved it. But it was portrayed by the one and only Usher Raymond. And at this time, Usher was the hottest thing out. He had You Make Me Wanna, Nice and Slow, My Way. His album My Way was just an impeccable album. So I was overly excited when I found out that Usher was going to be a guest star on MOESHA. Brandy, who was my favorite vocalist ever. MOESHA was one of my favorite shows. And then to have one of my other favorite artists on the show, I was in heaven during this time. One of the things that I really enjoyed about the character of Jeremy is that he and MOESHA met while she was attending Bridgewood. And he was a part of a group that MOESHA was a part of. And they had to allocate this money, I believe, for like the school system or something like that. And so, you know, there was an attraction there, and he ended up asking her on a date. And I love this dynamic because this is how I feel high school should be. Yes, I was one of those ones that did have a boyfriend in high school. However, when that ended, I did enjoy just the natural tendency to find someone attractive, like them, and it not be anything more than that. With the characters of Moisha and Jeremy, he never became her boyfriend. She never was his girlfriend. They never were in a committed relationship. They were just two 17-year-olds who happened to go to the same high school. They found each other attractive and they went out on dates. And I think that is a part of the high school experience that is missing. I am not saying that you cannot find, your one and only love in high school. However, I believe that just as individuals, sometimes we do not understand the purpose of dating. One is not for you just to give your body to each and every person that comes your way. Two is not to get in a serious relationship with everyone whom you find attractive. But it could just mean going out, getting to know that person, what you like about them, what you don't like about them. And that is why I think I overly enjoyed the dynamic between Moisha and Jeremy, because it just never became that. It was just an attraction. They enjoyed each other's company. And can we talk about just the beauty of innocence and just enjoying someone else's company where sex wasn't a variable in the equation at that point? The innocence of going out on a date and having no expectation of what's going to happen at the end, not knowing if he's going to kiss you or not, who's going to initiate it, having those butterflies. And I just love that about Moisha and Jeremy. Now with some drama, because I believe that Jeremy, and sometimes I go back and forth with this, I believe that Jeremy was only on 4 episodes of Moisha, and there are times that I wish we would have gotten more of him. But then there are times that I believe that we got just enough. It wasn't overkill. However, he came, he did what needed to be done. And when Jeremy exited the show for good, I felt that his purpose had been fulfilled. We didn't need to see him anymore. But the first episode that we see him on, even though him and Moisha went out on a date, he took her out to the Usher concert. There was some drama. And I love this because I think this happens a lot of times when you're in high school. Jeremy was someone that was a star football player. He had a 4.0, and he had scholarships presented to him from different schools to play collegiate football. However, he wanted everybody to believe that he was down. You know what I'm saying? That he was that cool kid. However, you went to Bridgewood Academy. You know what I'm saying? You was only cool by a certain level of standards. But because he was hanging with Moesha in Lamert Park, that was primarily, black people, he wanted to feel included. And so he became a person that Moesha did not recognize. And so, she had a little attitude with him, and he told her that, depending upon who he's around and the environment that he's in, he changes who he is. And basically, Moesha told him, well, you say you want to keep it real, but you're not keeping it real. And so he came back to apologize in the cutest way. He was lip syncing "You Make Me Wanna" by Usher, and he and Moesha shared a kiss on her porch. It was just the cutest thing. It was the cutest thing. I miss shows like that. And me and my friends talk about, like, what do teenagers watch nowadays? I honestly don't know. Back in the day, we had so much to choose from. We had Moesha. Later on, we had the Parkers. When we were younger, we had A Different World, The Cosby Show, Hanging with Mr. Cooper. We had all of those things for those who watch, That's So Raven, that was on the Disney kick. I wasn't never on that. But we had One-on-One, Half and Half, Sister. There was so many forms of representation during that time. And I don't know what these kids watch other than reality TV. I don't know what's marketed to them. But I thank God that I was brought up in a time where we had representation, where, we had certain conversation starters from watching TV that we could go back and, ask our parents certain questions. Well, I heard this on Moesha, but I'm not really sure what that means. And so I really did love that. And the Moesha and Jeremy dynamic, this really taught me the beauty of dating. The beauty of not taking things seriously and just enjoying someone. And with Moesha and Jeremy, I believe the next time we see him, it is where Moesha finds out that Q is dating someone else. I can't remember I think her name was Tiffany, and she was played by Maya Campbell. They end up going to see Kenny Lattimore, and they end up sitting at the same table. So you had Moesha and Jeremy, and then you had Q and Tiffany. Talk about dramatic. Okay, talk about drama field. But and again, with this situation, it was so funny because sometimes, an ex-baby needs to stay your ex. And do not allow those past feelings to come up and keep you from, missing out on a good thing. And that's kind of what the dynamic was on that episode. And it was cute. It was really cute. But again, Moesha and Jeremy just never became anything more than what they were. Like I said earlier, just two 17-year-olds who were attracted to each other and enjoyed each other's company. Now, Jeremy, being your normal 17-year-old boy, of course, tried to sleep with Moesha, tried to have sex with her. They went to a co-ed slumber party. Of course, hormones raging. The boys staying the night, the girls staying the night, and you trying to see what you can get into. But it was on this episode that Moesha decided, we just going to be friends. The dating, we just kind of going to put that to the side because where you are and where I am, what you want and what I want, And I just think that's so powerful to be that age and to understand that you don't have to give in. You don't have to give it up. You don't have to lean into peer pressure. If you're not ready, that's fine. It doesn't matter if everyone else is doing it. You don't have to partake. I mean, Moesha was just so good. Moesha was just so good. And I don't know what's happening in the content creation world where it's like a thing now to hate the character of Moesha. I don't know where y'all got that from. I don't know what it is. Oh, she was a horrible friend. She was a horrible person. The girl was, damn it, 15 years old when the show started. How were you at 15? How good of a friend were you at 15? Did you do some trifling things at 15? You probably did. I know I did, but that's not the video for that. But I'm going to get into that on another video. But this is to really highlight Jeremy and Moesha's romantic dynamic and what it was and how powerful it was to me. The representation of understanding that you can like someone, be attracted to someone, and that doesn't necessarily mean that that has to be your boyfriend. That's just me. Now, even though one of my favorite moments was when Jeremy saying, You Make Me Want It to Moisha on her porch and they shared a kiss. My other favorite moment is when we actually got to hear Jeremy sing and he sung Happy Birthday to Moisha. I said, baby, Usher's voice has always been like that. It was one of my most favorite moments of them when he sung Happy Birthday. And I honestly love the dynamic of Brandy and Usher. And I really want them to do a song together. Like, to this day, I want them to do a song together, and they have known each other for so long. And even while you're watching this video, you see that I added some pictures from when they were literally kids. And I just love that. I love the fact that we have been able to watch these individuals individually and then collectively come together to form a great dynamic for the show of Moesha, something that we can always talk about, something that always reminds us about the innocence of just liking someone, the innocence of enjoying each other's company, the innocence of sharing the first kiss with somebody. If y'all really understood, and I know for some of y'all, you definitely can attest to it, when watching these old TV shows, like just the feeling that it ignites, the feeling that it initiates. And I know for me, the reason that I write, the reason that I create things is because I want to just bottle up that feeling and share it with as many people as possible. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Wasn't too much drama happening because, like I said, they were super young. Wasn't a lot of stuff going on other than him trying to have sex with her. But anyway, that's something that, the young dude, they gonna try. You know what I'm saying? They are going to try. And he did just that. But I want to thank you guys for listening. Until next time, I will holler at y'all later. And y'all be safe out there. One.